In my story, I wanted to serve God and be married. There was a while, though, where I wasn't sure whether God would allow both. I wasn't sure if all the running was taking me nowhere. My name is Wendy. I'm 35 years old, and I've been living in Hong Kong for 2 years now. It was while I was in university that God introduced China to me for the first time, and I fell in love. He hijacked my life with a strong sense of calling to be here. At the same time as that, I also strongly desired to be married and to have a normal life. I wanted a family. I wanted to stay in Kansas City with my friends, to raise my kids with their kids, plant a big garden, raise some chickens, and cook some healthy food. And I really feared that my two desires were totally separate, and that if I gave myself to God, I'd be used up in the process. Sometime after university, God invited me to move to Kansas City, and I started serving with a ministry called 24/7 Prayer. Shortly after I moved to Kansas City, the Lord started speaking to me about my calling to China, specifically to Hong Kong. As I began to engage more with a sense that my future was here, I began to have stronger and stronger internal tension. Pretty soon the tension just got too great, and I had like a classic burnout season. I didn't know if I loved God anymore. I didn't know what I thought about Him. It was a really dark time for me. Yeah, God met me really powerfully in that season. He spoke to me in that time that all along what I'd been looking for, this kind of love and acceptance, was actually found in Him. And I began to experience that. It began to satisfy me and actually meet me where I needed to be met by Him. By the time 2012 rolled around, I knew I was moving to Hong Kong, and it was a hard decision to move as a single woman. But by that point, that fear had lost a lot of its power, and I found I wanted to say yes to Him. So by now, I'm 33 years old and I've just moved to Hong Kong. I began to take my experience from my church and the 24/7 prayer ministry in Kansas City and bring it here to Hong Kong and live it out here. But honestly, it was so much harder than I ever imagined it would be to actually move here. These questions were always right there, like, why is my story this way, and what is taking so long? So just about a year ago, after one of these epic breakdowns, I decided to give the online dating thing a shot. So I had heard about Tinder from an American girlfriend of mine, and I thought I'd check it out. I met this guy, or saw this guy called Tad, and I thought to myself, he looks like a nice guy, same age. It said that we had 7 mutual Facebook friends. All of them were believers, and so I thought, this guy must be a Christian. At least I'd like to meet him. So I swiped right. So we actually met for our first date here on the Avenue of the Stars at Starbucks. And when I walked up and saw him for the first time, I thought to myself, oh good, he's got a beard. I've always liked beards. At the end of it, he asked me out again. And that kept happening. Slowly, my heart was opening up to this guy. On August 16th then, Tad came out to Llama Island and we started dating. Our relationship was developing beautifully and it just felt so natural. Eventually, on January 31st, Tad, in a very romantic way, asked me if I would be his wife. And I said yes. God reconciled my belief of who He is, that He's not two different gods, one a slave-driving master who commands me to do His work, and the other a nice Santa Claus kind of God who gives me my heart's desires. No, He's one God who knows me better than I know myself. And this journey has been so important. I, at the start, really believed that my longing for love could be met in a man, but I needed to deeply experience God's love. And if I were to go back in time and give myself some advice, I'd encourage myself to deeply trust that He's good, really good, and that I will experience Him and my life as good.